Hey, y'all. All right, we're going back with our definitions. Strong and courageous, to be growing strong, to be growing firm in what? I believe, and this is from taking our definitions and then looking back at what God has been telling Joshua. Don't let this book depart from before your eyes. Meditate on it day and night so that you'll know what you need to do, to observe and do all that according to all that is written in it. So he is to be growing firm. So he's not, again, I don't think this is necessarily being strong and courageous about the battles ahead, about where the demands of this position of leadership. I think in light of these definitions that God is telling Joshua to grow firm, to grow strong, to grow bold in the teachings, precepts, and instructions of God. God's focus in his instructions to Joshua are on that. It's the law. Joshua, know me. Know my way of doing things. Know my instructions. Know what I gave Moses. Know what I told Moses. Know it so well that you don't deviate from the right hand and to the left. We've been here so many times. If you go back to the very beginning in Genesis chapter 3, I'm not going to say what got us in this mess in the first place, but we have to know, you have to know, I have to know for myself what God says. I cannot take somebody else's word for it. And I'll tell you, if I hear a sermon or a message and I'm like, yes, that's right on, I am usually reading along with it, or I go back and check the references later because I'm not looking for an emotional hype. I'm not looking for a feeling to get me through. The only thing that is going to be good enough for me to go through is the Word of God. I can't stand on anything else. I can't stand on just what somebody says or what somebody thinks. I have to know what God says. So he's telling Joshua, know my instructions, know my law, know my teachings. And when Satan presents himself to Eve in Genesis 3, he says, now remember, Satan is crafty and he is subtle. That's what the word says. Now the serpent was more subtle and crafty than any living creature. That's where Satan went, subtle and crafty. And we can go back to Peter. Let's get there. Let's just read it out of the word. How about that? 1 Peter 5:8 says, be well balanced, temperate, sober of mind, vigilant, so alert and cautious at all times. For that enemy of yours, the devil, roams around like a lion, roaring in fierce hunger, seeking someone to seize upon and devour. Eve, he says, and Satan said to the woman, can it really be that God has said, you shall not eat from every tree of the garden? Eve said to the serpent, we may eat the fruit from the trees of the garden, except the fruit from the tree which is in the middle of the garden. God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Not what God said. God didn't say you couldn't touch it. He said, don't eat of it. So Eve has now changed what God said. God tells Joshua, know it for yourself. Know what I say so that you don't have to think about it. It becomes second nature. Grow bold, grow firm, grow secure. And then, so that is where he says to be strong and courageous. Courageous, be alert. Be nimble, agile, and quick, and light in motion. Be responsive. And that's what Peter says back in 1 Peter 5. He says, be well balanced, temperate, cautious, be vigilant at all times. Because there's an enemy who is trying to get you off course. He says, know my word, so that you don't turn from the right or to the left. Know it so good. Progressively grow in your knowledge of my word, so that you can be responsive when you see the trap that the enemy has laid. I want that to be me. Of a morning, I don't want to look for a cute word or an easy devotion to get me started for the day. I want to know, God, what am I looking for today? What has Satan set out before me? Where is it that my flesh might try to be stronger than the Spirit? What do I need to rein in? Remind me of your word. And that responsive and sensitive is so that when we are aware that something's not right, we can alter and adjust our course so that we can make our way prosperous and deal wisely and have good success. That's God's heart. That's his heart for us. That was his heart for Joshua, is that you be successful, you be prosperous. But in order for God to get us there, we're going to have to listen to him. It's just the only way, is we're going to have to listen to him and do what he tells us to do. All right, we will pick up here next time. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.